Hi, everybody. Welcome to the first episode of the Real Collective podcast. My name is Brendan McKeegan, and with me right here is Sean Tassay. Sean, how are you?
Good, Brendan. How are you doing today?
I am wonderful. Why don't you give everybody an idea of what the show is? What are we going to be doing on the Real Collective podcast?
Well, we're going to be talking about real estate collectives.
Crazy.
Right?
I know.
Yeah, so the idea is we're just going to have a forum for us to talk about what you guys who are listening are thinking about, some stuff that's going on in the world of real estate, as well as some things to keep it fun and light.
Yeah. We're going to have some things that are going to be hopefully useful for a lot of you, whether you're a first-time home buyer, whether you've never done it before and you're kind of scared to get your feet wet, or whether you're somebody who's bought 3 or 4 homes throughout your life and maybe you're looking for another one. We've got you covered. So we're going to have special guests every once in a while, everything from investment specialists, mortgage brokers, anything that you might see outside of real estate, people that might just have gone through the process that want to talk about it. So people that might be able to help you understand, home inspectors, things like that. Sean, what do we got cooking today?
Today, we're going to do a quick intro. So, who are we? What are we about? Little meet and greet with Sean and Brendan if you haven't met us before. And then we're going to talk a little bit about an upcoming listing. So a sneak peek to a listing that will be launching tomorrow. Then we're going to jump into talking about the 6 points of agency. I think that's kind of important because a lot of times that's stuff that people skip over when they're talking about real estate agents. So we'll talk a little bit about the 6 points of agency, and then we're going to wrap it up. Keep it short, keep it sweet.
Love it. Perfect. That's what we're going to do. If you guys do like what you're seeing and you want to help us out, just like, subscribe, share, hit all those fun buttons that they tell you to smash in all those fun videos, and check it out there. The rest of the show, it's going to be a good one. We're going to keep it to about a half hour. So you can listen to us on your drive. You can listen to us in the gym while you're on a walk, whatever you're doing. Nice, quick little tidbits. I'm looking forward to it. We're going to get started. Why don't we get into it right now? Sean, tell us a little bit about, we've rebranded now. We're the Real Collective. Tell us what the Real Collective is, what it stands for.
Yeah, absolutely. It actually leads us into the sort of the next point of what we're talking about today. So the Real Collective started out as an acronym. I love acronyms. We started StyFire, which originally was Sean Tassay, your friend in real estate. Of course, that's limited to just me. And obviously, Brendan, we've worked together for probably 2 years or so now. And there's that limitation that comes with just being StyFire. So the idea behind the Real Collective is that it's all of us. Okay. And so that acronym stands for REAL, stands for Real Estate Agency Leader. That's right. And
nailed it.
Yes, that's the acronym. And so the idea is we want to bring a collective, a group of people here together who are all focused on agency. And that's why I think it's so important for us to talk about agency and be leaders of agency in the market moving forward. So yeah, that's a real quick snapshot of what the Real Collective is. I think as we get deeper and deeper into this podcast, we're going to get a better sense of what all of that means. But in the effort of not boring everybody right out of the hop, let's talk a little bit more about something else. Let's talk about, Brendan, why don't you give me a little bit of background on you? What are you all about? Where do you come from?
Well, I used to be part of the Be My Fire group, which stood for Brendan McKeegan, your friend in real estate. And it didn't go very well. I got sued by StyFire for copyright infringement. And they said, you have to come work for us. And if you don't, then we're going to sue you and take your house. So here I am hosting this podcast.
With your house in limbo.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Sean's actually upstairs, everybody. He's just smashing on the floor if I don't do something right. Anyone who doesn't know me, my name is Brendan McKeegan, as it says on the screen underneath me right there. My background, I've been with real estate for about 3 years now. I absolutely love it. It's been something I've always been interested in. But since 2003, I've also been a professional touring stand-up comedian. So that's why we have the Real Collective, and my own personal website is realfunny.ca. So you can find me on realfunny.ca. That's where I am. I have toured, I've been fortunate enough to tour all over the world. I've been places like Egypt and Rome and anywhere from like the middle of Iraq to the middle of Spain. So I've seen a lot of great things. I've almost been done in a few times by crocodiles in Ethiopia. Those are fun stories for maybe another episode that we'll do, maybe a little more comedy focused. And yeah, so since then, I've been working in real estate. I do primarily the middle, like all of Ottawa and typically west. That's not to say I haven't worked in Orleans, because when I say I haven't done much, it always ends up being like the next 4 deals are out in Orleans. So anything east of Ottawa, really, if you're within an hour of the center of Ottawa, that's where you'll find me. I'm around there. I'm looking forward to helping more people. I love it. The reason that I wanted to get into real estate is that you can't force someone to buy a home. And that's what I really like. You can guide them. You're kind of more an advisor to them and helping them through the process and making sure that they're taken care of. And I like that. It's much more suiting than, I don't know if you've ever had like those commission jobs at like retail. I know you've got a background in car sales, but like even retail, when they're in the change room, throw a belt over top and say, I think it would look good with what you have. You can't do that with a house. Like, hey, this house is nice, but what if you had a hot tub? Like, I'm not selling a hot tub. So, it's nice. You get to be able to help people and look out for their best interest. And that's what I like about it. Sean, what about you?
Well, I think that's a really great segue into talking about agency, which is coming up in a second. So guys, stick around. Don't miss out on what's coming down the pipe. And yeah, of course, we love helping people. I think that's one thing that certainly unites us, is that we love it when you guys reach out to us and say, hey, help me buy a house, help me sell a house. Ultimately, that's what we're here for, right? And we get really into helping people. And so that's something that we certainly look forward to. For myself, I will start with, I'm a dad. I've got 2 kids. We could call this like the Dad's Podcast,
Sure.
Real estate show.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody heard in the background, but you had a screaming, what, 2-month-old, 1-month-old?
No, that would have been my oldest, 2.5.
Okay, perfect. So
yeah.
Your oldest is about a year older than my youngest. And then I've got Everett, who's 5. And so, Dad's Real Estate Podcast show, that's the main driver for me has been my family. So that's my big why. Yes, I did spend some time before in the car business, in the auto business. I learned the skills of sales and negotiation, not the slippery or slimy skills that Brendan was sort of alluding to, but the representation skills. How do you take really, really good care of your people and not worry about anything else? And again, that's the thing that we're going to get into when we're talking about agency moving forward. So yeah, before real estate, I've been doing this for 8 years. Before real estate, I was a manager at a car dealership for about 7 years. Before that, my very first job was actually selling knives door to door. So I was, I've always been told, hey, you can talk forever and you can sell anything to anybody. And
how old were you when you started selling knives? Like who goes up to a kid and's like, hey kid, you want to sell some knives? It
was my first year of university. So the summer between the end of my first year and the beginning of my second year. Or maybe it was out of high school. I'm not really sure. And technically, it wasn't my first job. I think my first job was like a cashier at Loblaws or whatever.
Sure.
But yeah, I was young, right? And they gave me I was under 20 years old. They gave me an entire roll of knives. I could go into people's houses and sell these. Like, oh, there's a lot of trust that comes with that. But you know what? It was a really great skills training session. So I learned how to reach out and contact people who I'd never met before and tell them about these knives. I still have them. I love these knives. They're great knives. Everybody's heard about them. If you have never heard of Cutco knives, this is not a paid endorsement, but everybody who has them loves them. So that's where I came from. And yeah, now we're doing the real collective thing and having a ton of fun with it. So that's yeah.
How many shoes did you go through in demonstrations for people? Like, did you have like the roll of knives and then a suitcase full of shoes to cut through?
No, we had a penny. So we turned a penny into a corkscrew.
Really?
Yeah. And there was these little tiny squares of leather. And so you would hold on to one leather and then you would cut with the other. The idea is this floppy bit of leather shouldn't have been able to be cut through, but it was. So the knives were that good that you could cut through floppy leather. And you would also, there would be another thing about trying to cut tomato as thinly as you could using the double D edge technology, Brendan. Like I said, I still have the knives here. Everybody uses them. Everybody loves them. They are the hit of the household. Not true.
That's hilarious. You sound super enthusiastic about the knives, almost as much as real estate. I'm kind of surprised you haven't given them out as closing gifts.
Yeah.
Thanks for trusting me. Have some knives, and here's some tomatoes.
Just throw a tomato up in the air.
Yeah.
Slice it.
That's Fruit Ninja?
Just covered in tomato juices.
That'd be great. Just that Fruit Ninja game.
Yeah. That's there we go. We figured it out. Okay,
Yeah.
well, the podcast is over. We've done everything we need to. We know what our closing gifts is going to be. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, pretty much. That's it. Like when you mentioned family too, that was a big reason for me to get my real estate license. I mean, I have 2 kids now. My youngest is not even 2 months, actually 2 months today. Yeah, 2 months today. Look at that. And yeah, man, it's a trip, that's for sure. And I've got my oldest, she's 2.5. And when my wife and I got married and we came home, so we found out when she was pregnant, and was the catalyst to finish everything. I mean, I was already in the process of getting the courses done, but then I just kind of banged them out quick, because you get to a point and you get to an age where you were touring, you're on the road for anywhere from a month to 2 months, and you've got your big wheelie suitcase, and that can get tiring. And I just want to spend more time with family and be more selective of the gigs that I do take. Like, I don't have to go to Medicine Hat, Alberta anymore if I don't want to. So that's kind of nice. No discredit to the people at Medicine Hat.
When did you want to? When did you ever want to go to Medicine Hat, Alberta?
Oh, I didn't. It was a throughway stop to my gig in Regina from Calgary. Yeah, you got to stop. You got to stop in Medicine Hat before you get to Regina.
There's a joke there, I'm sure.
Yeah, I know. I see it just chomping. They're just like, I got to do it. I got to do it. You don't. Everyone knows. Everyone knows. But yeah, man, it's great. Like it's been nice to be selective of the comedy gigs that I do take now. I love performing. I still do it quite actively. But I definitely dedicate more time to my family and real estate and kind of balance everything nicely, I think. And especially with COVID, I mean, there's not a lot going on with touring to begin with. So it's been nice to sort of dive into that, which is nice. And I'm actually getting into the listing side of things now. Had my first listing go well. And as a team, we actually have a listing coming up. Sean, tell us what we got coming up.
Coming up, we have 116 Lady Jennifer Way. So this, like I said, is going to be hitting the market tomorrow on MLS. This is a beautiful home, 2 acres of private treed lot out in Dunrobin. It's about 10 minutes north of Northern Canada. So if you're familiar at all with Ottawa, Northern Canada is sort of the furthest suburban territory that you could go to, and you'll see a lot of high-tech companies are built up around Northern Canada. So going about 10 minutes north gets you right into the country. And the neat thing is that drive that you do when you drive up there really is sort of calming. It brings you down. It brings you have that sort of breath of fresh air. This is not a brand new house, but it was custom built in 2018. So you get in and it almost looks like a custom house. The really cool thing is a lot of these 2 acre executive lots are just open. Okay. So there's no trees, there's no privacy, anything like this. This is all treed up. And so they left the trees along the property lines. You can't see your neighbor on either side. You can't see your neighbors in the front, and you can't see your neighbors behind you. Furthermore, it's at the end of a cul-de-sac. So if your kids want to go out and they want to play road hockey or whatever, you really have nothing to worry about. So a great little property right beside Eagle Creek golf course, and maybe a minute away from Baskins Beach boat launch. Try saying that 3 times fast.
I like that you said it's a nice little property when it's on like a nice big estate.
So the
little property.
The house looks fantastic. It's essentially, it looks like a brand new infill that you'd see in Westboro, which is like Ottawa's trendy neighborhood. If you're not familiar, it looks like a property that would have been built in 2018, just picked up and put back down in the new spot. And my gosh, it is an immaculate home.
We do have a video for you to check out for our property at 116 Lady Jennifer Way out in Dunrobin. Beautiful home. Check it out.
All right. right, you beautiful people. Today we're at 116 Lady Jennifer in Dunrobin. Here we've got a super private 2-acre lot with tons of green space. We can't tell these birds to be quiet. Fall is here, the leaves are turning. We've got a custom built 2018 home here. It's awesome.
It sure is awesome, with 3 bedrooms, 3 large, beautiful bathrooms, and all kinds of wonderful finished space inside with great views out the back. You really couldn't ask for anything else, and the serenity around here is incredible. You know what? This place is really fit for a lord.
Or a lady, Lady Jennifer.
Wow, walking into this beautiful home, the first thing I notice out the back is this wonderful view. The second great thing I notice is these huge ceramic tiles in the foyer and the openness. Well, those ceramic tiles lead me directly to the powder room. You know how much I love that. Now, the first part of this awesome house right here is this great office space, and it's a really good place for us to begin this tour as I try to find my chair and Sean. Now, we enjoyed that view when I walked in the front door, and I get the same view when I'm sitting here in this beautiful living room. And you know, we got these huge windows on either side of you, Sean, and it's really great to see outside like that. And actually, the view between those windows is pretty good too.
Thanks, pal. You're a real sweetheart. You know, the neat thing is that view carries all the way through on the back of the home here. We've got the living room, we've got the dining room right in the middle, so you can enjoy time with your family or guests, and you're always looking in on nature. You've got this view out the backyard, which is absolutely stunning, and there is nothing left to do but move in and enjoy. Now, they say the kitchen is the heart of every home, and of course, this kitchen's heartbeat is perfect. We've got a huge entertainer's dream of an island and tons of workspace, and of course, that overlooks this tranquility of nature that you stare out into. Absolutely putting the Om in home. Now, this landing platform at the top of the stairs is some great extra space. You could use it as a library, a kid's computer area, or anything. It's immediately adjacent to the first bedroom.
That's right. Everywhere I look, this place just keeps getting better and better. Now, walking into this primary bedroom, it really feels like a retreat. There is all kinds of space here, all kinds of room for your big furniture, and it is beautiful. Not to mention that view, again, up here is supreme. Look at it out there. Now, we continue on down this hallway. This place is just getting started. You get this huge walk-in closet right here, more natural light coming in, more windows everywhere. I can even see out this window, Sean can't, and that flows back here with this great bathroom.
That's right, we've got this huge ensuite, separate tub, separate shower, double sinks, and again, this view. You don't even have to wear clothes inside or outside, and your neighbors won't see a darn thing. So the view out the front is just as good as the view out the back, and these windows are great.
Yes, they sure are great. These have got to be some of the widest single homes I've ever seen.
I've seen bigger.
Oh.
Now, the bonus space down here in the basement is great. You've got that landing here, and we've got a great sized living room for the kids to chill out and enjoy.
And we need a hand with those kids, and you bring over the in-laws, this is where they can sleep.
So we've been talking about this backyard space the whole video, and one thing I noticed is it is so serene here. Okay, as I took my drive up from Northern Canada, it took me about 10 minutes or so to get here from Northern Canada, I just let the worries and the cares of the inner city melt away. And as I moved out here towards this space, I just felt more calm, more humble, more at one.
Well, now we are at 2. And you know what? You can be at 100 back here when you have this beautiful area finished with a pool and a pool house and a gazebo and a hot tub, all that stuff, serenity and party. What do you say?
Sounds good to me, pal. So if you guys would like to see this house or any others, as always, give us a call. The phone number 613-314-3187. And until then,
Sty Fire out.
Wonderful. Thanks for watching that, everybody. If you liked it, like, share, subscribe with your friends. That would be wonderful. Now, back to the show. We are here. We are going to get you some edumacation right now. We are going to be talking today about the 6 points of agency. We got 6 points of agency. Sean, tell us what they are.
Yeah, so as you can see on the screen right beside me here, we've got the top 6 things that are most important in agency. So what agency means when you're hiring a real estate agent, they actually have to work with you like a lawyer does. Every real estate agent is legally obligated to work with you the same way as a lawyer does. Fiduciary obligation is the name of the game, and it essentially encompasses these 6 points. Number 1, loyalty. Number 2, confidentiality. 3, accounting. 4, full disclosure. 5, obedience. And 6, reasonable care and skill. We'll just take a couple minutes and break all of those down, starting with loyalty. So your agent is legally obligated to be loyal to you. What that means is that if there are 2 people who are looking for the same property, and one of those people is a client to that real estate agent, and the other person is simply a customer, as in somebody that they have met or whatever, said, hey, you know what? I'd like to buy that house at 116 Lady Jennifer. But that agent also has a client who is signed and obligated to work with them. That agent has to point out the property to their client of 116 Lady Jennifer and give that client, that buyer client, every bit of loyalty over and above that other random person. Okay, so that's essentially what it means that you have to be loyal to your client while you have a signed agency agreement in place. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you. It does make sense. As someone who is a licensed realtor, it does make sense. My favorite thing about the 6 points of agency is how it sounds like we have trained a dog, or perhaps we are the dogs that have been trained. We're very loyal and we're confident because we're big dumb dogs. We account, I don't know, bones. Full disclosure, I just ate your shoes. Obedience, and then reasonable skill and care. Look at that. We got the obedience course. Confidentiality, that's a good one. The best thing about confidentiality is that helps you know that someone is working for you. So if I have a client, my confidentiality is about not telling, if they're buyer clients, it's not telling people what they're willing to spend on a particular property. It's not giving up any sort of information. Why? Because that's not in the best interest of your client. There's more to it. Sean, tell us more about confidentiality and what it means in length.
Well, I'll give you a good example. Is if I'm working with a buyer client, I'm going to ask everything to give my buyer client a leg up. Okay, especially if we're in negotiations. If that client loves a house that's for sale, and we go in and we see, hey, there's 2 people on title. There's a man and a woman on title, but it seems like there's only men's clothes in this house. What do I think is going on? It seems like they might have been split up. Now I'm going to go and I'm going to ask that listing agent, what's the story? Why are they selling? It looks like there's only men's clothes here. I don't see any women's clothes here, but there's a woman on title. What's going on? Technically, from a legal point of view, that listing agent should not tell me that they're going through a breakup, because that listing agent is required to keep their client's affairs in confidence. Okay. And I don't know if you can hear.
Yeah, I can hear.
Okay, cool.
It's just going.
Yeah, no, that's the way it goes.
That's life.
Hashtag work from home. And so, yeah, that listing agent is required to keep their clients' information in confidence. Oftentimes they don't. Okay. And that is a mistake that some real estate agents make. Okay. We as real estate agents cannot disclose anything about our clients. And that's one thing that as leaders in agency, sometimes that ball gets dropped. Hopefully never with our team, but it happens. And if you're an agent and you're asked the question, you shouldn't be answering it.
Yeah, and the only time that it is okay is when your client says it's okay. Like, hey, you can tell them that we're moving out to Vancouver or whatever it happens to be. That's fine by us. If they say it's okay, then obviously it's okay. But otherwise, you don't want to be giving something away that could potentially leave money on the table or take money away. Yeah. So that's the next one. The next one that we have is accounting. Sean, take it away, numbers guy.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Some people call it accounting. Some people call it accountability. Accounting, obviously, it comes down to the dollars and cents. So you need to be able to look to your real estate agent for them to and for them to be able to turn around and say, yeah, okay, we're going to sell your house and we're going to sell it for this amount of money, and you're going to put this amount of money in your pocket. And here's down to the penny or down to the dollar, I guess, how much it's ultimately going to cost you. Now, when it comes time to meeting with your lawyer, you're going to go through the exact all of the bits about it. But your real estate agent should be able to tell you what all of the costs are before you get to the end. I heard about a research study that was done recently that said 25% of buyers didn't know that they were going to have to pay land transfer tax when they were buying their home, and so they didn't take that into account when they were saving up their money for their down payment. They just saved up their 5% down, and then all of a sudden, boom, you're closing on your house, come up with an extra $5,000, and nobody took the time to tell them in advance. Okay, that is a real estate agent's responsibility to their client as per their fiduciary obligations and agency law. Okay, and so that stuff happens. And again, one of the things that we're really trying to make sure that we do within the Real Collective is be leaders in this field of agency. And what all of that means is the stuff we're talking about now. I'm going to jump right into number 4.
I just want to hit on the accounting side of things there. With what we're talking about with the accounting and having everything ready, the cost of closing that Sean was mentioning, that could be another segment in another episode, and it probably will be, where we break down all the costs that come with closing, because it's never just the price of the house. So just keep that in mind if you are looking right now. Give us an email, give us a call, whatever you got to do. But there's a lot more to it than just the price of the home. And if you're a first-time home buyer, again, another episode, then we can talk about that too. Son, okay, so we've got full disclosure. What's that?
Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of these episodes that we
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot, but that's why we're starting here. 6 points of agency, and then we'll probably work our way up as far as being a new home buyer, and then jumping all over the ship, going from new home buyers to investors, all that kind of fun stuff. Full disclosure.
Full disclosure, it doesn't take a lot to get your real estate license. Okay, you can do it in about 6 or 9 months. That doesn't mean that you're going to be really good at your job. Okay, there's a lot more to it to be a leader in this world of agency. So full disclosure means that if you are a buyer and you walk into a home, if that agent knows anything about the home and they're your agent, they legally must disclose every piece of information that they have about that home to you. Okay, we've all seen things in the news. We've heard horror stories. We've heard people say, "Oh, well, I didn't know to ask this question." Well, it's up to the agent to ask you the things that are important to you. Is the house haunted? Well, I just watched an episode of Simpsons Treehouse of Horrors. Is the house haunted? Is it important to you, or is it not important to you? If it's not important to you, that your agent needs to know that. Okay. I don't want to buy a haunted house. Okay, well, your agent needs to know that. I don't care if I buy a haunted house. Well, then maybe it is or isn't a thing that gets told to you. But all of that is required if you are a client, that you receive full disclosure from your agent. If you are not a client, if you're, for example, a customer, you walk into an open house and you see a house for sale and they're selling it just by themselves. Well, nobody has to tell you anything. There's no legal obligation for anybody to tell you anything. One thing that's been in the news recently is talking about transparency in real estate and how that ship has sort of been sailing. We need to, as agents across the board, we need to do this differently. Okay, we need to fully disclose everything about every house to every client if it's something that's going to be important to them, and even if it's not. Right? How can you go wrong with disclosing something? I don't think you can. So that's a quick synopsis of full disclosure. We can dive into any of these topics and really get deep into it, because there's stuff in the news all the time about it.
Oh yeah, I mean, all the horror stories about not being told that it's in a floodplain, or not being told that there's a giant crack in the foundation. Things that even if they're readily present and available that you can see, I think as a realtor, you should still be pointing those out to your clients. Never just assume that your client sees a crack in the wall. And you're like, hey, there's a crack in the wall. That's cause for concern. That's like, well, they didn't see it. That's lazy.
There's a whole other conversation to get in here about latent and patent defects and what's required to disclose and what's not required to disclose and who's required to disclose what to whom. So here's another podcast. Just put it on the list. So for sure. And knowing your client. And if you're out there, if you're buying a house, please hire a real estate agent. We'd love it for us to be us, and if it's not, that's fine. Hire someone who is going to take care of you as you go through this process.
Yeah, definitely. You want someone that's going to be working on your side. And as a buyer, it obviously, it doesn't cost, not obviously, because some people don't know, but as a buyer, it doesn't normally cost anything on your end to use a realtor. Everything is taken care of from the seller side of things.
Yeah.
Most of the time. The next one we have is obedience. And as the owner of a dog who is almost a year old, I can tell you that he is not good at that. But what is obedience in relation to the 6 points of agency?
Yeah, so what it means is that if you, as the principal or the buyer client or the seller client, if you ask or tell your realtor to do a thing, as long as it's not illegal, your realtor must do that thing that you're asking them or telling them to do. Now, let's say, for example, you're buying a house and you see a house that's for sale for $1 million. You're like, hey, write an offer for that house for $500,000. That realtor might say, I don't know if that's the best use of my time, but technically and legally, that agent is required to write that offer for you. Now, a good agent will consult and say, hey, you know what? Here's why doing that is actually going to shoot you in the foot if you are honestly interested in buying that house, and here's all the effects of it. But legally, that agent is required to obey all of your directions, all of your legal directions. So if you say to your agent, hey, I've got this thing that I want you to do. This is a terrible example. We could just scrap this whole thing. I don't know what I'm saying.
Hey, I don't care. Let's just leave it in. All right. Let me just do one of these cuts and we'll go back to it. Obedience. Basically, guys, obedience is we have to do what is asked of us by our clients as long as it's legal on both sides. And as long as it pertains to real estate. If you ask me to do a cartwheel, I'm not going to do it. I don't feel comfortable doing that, especially at someone else's house. But if there is a home that's like $1 million and you say, hey, I want to make an offer for 500,000, that's when we have to be better than just consultants. We have to be consultants. We are the sultans of consulting. That's a new word I just made up. Thank you very much. Consultants. We are the consultants of real estate. And we're going to make sure that you know why that's not a good idea going forward. But if you're insistent, that's what we legally have to do. There's more to it. Sean, tell them about what they should expect.
I would like to hire you as my agent so that I can ask you to do a jump kick in front of the sign, the your sold sign. That's
Check it out on the Instagrams.
It's there. So obedience, essentially, like Brendan said, you have to, if you are the principal or the buyer or the seller and you have hired an agent to work on your behalf, that agent is required to follow your legal instructions. So if you ask your agent, hey, I need you to go to this house because it's vacant and turn off and on the light 5 times because I've got OCD and I want to operate remotely. Your agent is legally required to do that. Now, they might give you a little bit of pushback, but as silly as something like that is, I only use it as a hyperbole for this example, but your agent is required to do what you ask them to do, provided that it falls within the realm of being legal. So that's what obedience means.
Perfect. And then last but not least, much like my cooking skills, reasonable care and skill.
Yeah, I know. It's moderate at best.
Yeah.
They put the word reasonable in here. I don't really love it, but that's what it is. Your agent should take good care. I think one of the things that we really pride ourselves on at the Real Collective is more than just care, but actually compassion. And I think the way that we see that is putting ourselves in the shoes of our clients and thinking like, what would it be like to go through this? It would be super weird if we were.
It's like a hobbit just wearing Feet bigger than yours.
So reasonable care. So okay, well, let's just not just do the bare minimum, right? Let's be leaders in this field. So care and compassion towards our clients, because look, moving is tough. It's a lot. Buying a house is a big deal. Selling a house is a big deal. Moving from one place to another is a big deal. It causes tons of stress. And to be compassionate for what our clients are going through, obviously, as realtors, we typically see one little piece of it and we miss the rest of it, but being compassionate to everything. And then skill, right? So reasonable skill means, hey, can you negotiate well enough to make sure that I don't pay? We've heard this year. Okay, one person offers $550 and the next person offers $450, and there's this whole idea of we need to make these auctions more transparent so that we don't have these huge gaps, these distance to second between the top offer and the lower price offer. Well, sometimes having some reasonable skill as a negotiator, as a realtor, can really minimize that gap. Okay, there's a lot of new realtors who are coming in and just got their license and are hitting the ground, and they're doing all of this by themselves, and they don't have that level of skill and they don't have the training. I mean, like I said, you can go and get your real estate license in a span of a few months, hit the ground running and sign up with an inexpensive agency to work at, and you're a realtor. And if you're somebody's friend or cousin, you might get a shot at it. And I think there's a real risk to a lot of people if they're hiring the wrong people who don't have reasonable skill. We owe that to our clients as a legal obligation, a fiduciary obligation that we owe to our clients, is to have reasonable skill and reasonable care. Well, we like to pride ourselves that we actually have really great skill and really good care. So I think we're trying to take all of this to the next level, right?
Exactly. And as I got my real estate license, that was the driving force for me joining a team, is to have those resources available. So making sure that I'm able to take care of clients and having that reasonable care and skill. Yeah, you're right. When it says reasonable care, it very sounds like you're diminishing it. Like, I'll take care of you when I can. It'll be fine.
All of this comes back to, as realtors, we're held to a higher standard. So if ever we have to wind up in court and a judge can say, you did not exhibit reasonable care or reasonable skill when you were working on behalf of this principal, this client, we can get in a lot of trouble, right? We can get fined. We can have real big judgments thrown down on us. So it's not something that we take lightly. It's something that's really important as we serve our clients, and we hold in our mind and our consciousness, as we go through the process of helping people, oftentimes with their largest investment. I mean, it's a big deal, right? So I think it's basic.
Yep, exactly. And that's going to be that for the 6 points of agency. Hope you learned something. We're gonna wrap it up here, guys. We're gonna move on over to the collective corner. The collective corner, which is also the name of Sean and I's table at a flea market. It's where we sell arts and crafts and goods that we have knitted throughout the last week, and old video games that are broken. So that's what we do. So this is the collective corner. Sean, tell people where we can download the Real Collective podcast.
That's a great question, Brendan. You might be doing knitting. I'm doing the crocheting in the corner. So at the flea market, Stittsville Flea Market.
Oh, okay.
There's
doing the circuit. Nice.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can download the podcast anywhere that you can find podcasts. If you're watching us today on YouTube, you can check us out on Apple, iTunes. You can check out your podcast. There's a podcast button on Apple. You can find us on Spotify. Anywhere that you typically listen to your podcast, feel free to jump in. If an audio content's better for you than the video format, then that's easy, of course. We're always looking for more topics. So as much as we, might uncover some things to talk about, if you're listening to this and you're like, hey, I'd really like these guys to talk about this thing, then always, please, reach out to us, send us a message, comment on the video. If there's something that you want us to cover, comment it on the video. If there's something that you think that we got wrong when we were talking about it, comment on this video. Anything that you can think of that we want, share this with a friend. If you know somebody who's thinking about buying or selling or investing in real estate and you think, hey, this might be helpful information, or somebody who's had a bad experience with a realtor, feel free to share it with us. I mean, we can, maybe that's another topic that we talk about, bad experiences that we hear about with realtors and what we're doing to try and offset that. Yeah, so that's it for us. Was there anything that that you learned? I learned about you being attacked by crocodiles. That's something I didn't know about you. I don't know if there's anything.
No, not attacked by, nearly attacked by.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Yeah, they almost capsized our boat. They were angry. We interrupted their mating. The same with the hippos. Hippos almost capsized us. Anyway, that's what happened. If you guys have liked this video, tune in for the next one. If you're on YouTube watching this, just throw it in the background while you're working from home. We really appreciate that. Again, like, subscribe, share, all those fun things that people tell you to do. The next episode is going to be next week. We're going to try to do this weekly. It's going to be good times. 116 Lady Jennifer comes out tomorrow, which at the time of this, tomorrow would be Wednesday, October 13th, 2021. So check it out there. If you have questions, give us an email, give us a call. Our info is in the comment section below, so you can check that. Yeah, exactly. You got to do the point thing down, otherwise people don't know where it is. And
what does below mean?
Yeah, exactly.
No,
it's below. It's just below. That's it. It's just a different webpage altogether. If you have recommendations on guests from around the Ottawa area, actually, if we're doing this online, they don't even have to be from around here. Maybe you want to learn more about buying a cottage in the Coathers. I don't know. Whatever. Maybe you want to buy something in the Muskokas and you want to get a cottage realtor, and we can look that up. If you have topics, like Sean said, put it in the comments down below. Send us a message. That is it for us. I am Brendan McKeegan. This is Sean Tassay. Thanks for tuning in to the Real Podcast, Real Collective Podcast, and we will see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye for now.